So in terms of like utility and like ROI, our generation is already reaping the rewards of that. But it's a tool which can be a huge time suck and can be used negatively as well. So it is important, you know what I mean? You have to exercise restraint in how you use everything. But I think you can't label it as a negative just because the algorithm is more apt to finding what you interact with. You know what I mean? So, I mean, like if you want to look at it from this point of, oh, this content that I'm getting is just really negative and it's a time suck and it's kind of becoming like this hedonistic opium, then, you know what I mean? Well, then that's a reflection of the hedonistic opium then within myself or yourself or whoever it may be, right? So you have some, like, you have volition, like there's a thing where you can click not interested, right? So there's so I like that on every single video. Like if I get a video, right, and I'm like, you know, this was genuinely not useful to me, right? I very quickly just like click not interested. And I like cap it as well, like because I talked about STEM, right? Also for creative aspect, just in terms of like fashion and like exploring my own interest, fashion, music, all of these things, right? It's like a super fast search engine basically, or just showing me like, you know, it connects people in a really fast way, which was not possible before, right? And it's way more connective than like forums and everything else has, you know, been traditionally, right? So in that way, like other people who are interested in that. And I can get a bunch of content which is about that, which I would not have been able to do with the search engine and just some keywords.
Totally. And this is universal, global, right?
Yeah. And it's not just whatever niche subset of fashion that I like. It's also like if there's like, for you, right, there's like a niche subset of bikes that you like. Okay, here's a whole subculture around that, right? And it's not just the TikTok algorithm, like, which is like that. TikTok algorithm is more of a search engine because it has like in-app, people write captions and all of that. With the words on the screen, they write it in app. Whereas Instagram, it's more, you know, not hashtag based to a certain extent, but again, it's more algorithmic. But Instagram, it's interesting because people upload higher quality content because essentially Instagram Reels was developed after TikTok, right? As a response to TikTok. Because essentially what Instagram is trying to do is they want to incorporate all of the other prominent social media apps into their own ecosystem. Right. If you look at Threads is in response to Twitter or X. If you look at Stories was initially a response to like Snapchat, right? So all of these things are like, how do we make this a cohesive ecosystem? There's even like Instagram Shop, right? This is all very intentional, right? It's all for user retention, right?
So today, like, do you also use Facebook?
No, because Facebook has kind of been phased out for the younger generation, right?
So you think this generation completely is off Facebook?
Maybe. I know some people to connect with family. Because a lot of that's the only reason I actually know of. But it's because Facebook has so much ads now, right? Yeah. Because as a platform, it's like, I don't know if you've heard of like dead internet theory, you know what I mean? But I basically it's the platform in of itself. It's not providing refreshing and new content. I think that's the primary issue.
So I mean, Facebook again was meant for direct user generated one-on-one content, right? Like, so maybe that's. But between Instagram, YouTube Shorts, and TikTok, like the latter two are probably response to TikTok in a way.
Yeah, Reels and YouTube Shorts are both the response to TikTok. Yeah,
TikTok,
definitely.
Right?
Yeah, you can say that.
So do you balance, or do you use all three, or do you use one media more than others?
So as far as the type of media, right, like the format of the media, both of them are the same. As far as the actual content that you see on all of them is different, right? There used to be kind of this notion that whatever you see on TikTok, right, 3 months later, it'll be on Instagram Reels. And then like a year later, it's going to be on YouTube Shorts, right? That used to be the notion because it's like this trickle down thing, right? But now it's come to be that they kind of serve different niches, right? So Instagram, you have a lot of high quality short form content, which is being created because people don't use the in-app editing for Instagram. Because,
I see. Okay.
Because what initially happened is that people were just re-uploading their TikToks to Instagram. Instagram didn't like that. They wanted original. But the problem is people didn't just want to just write captions on some text and put it in Instagram because they were so used to the formatting of TikTok, right? So what happened is it became like this perfect vacuum for people who are like editors and like, you know, kind of like film people and all of these other things who are like visual media people, right? And then who also make like interesting captions and that kind of stuff to find a space.
Okay.
So Instagram is really good for that, right? And then also So that's one thing that I see more on Instagram than on TikTok.
TikTok is that?
Is
That's okay.
And then on YouTube Shorts, I don't use YouTube Shorts actively, but I do see that there's like a lot of podcast clips are on YouTube Shorts. But podcast clips are on both platforms, definitely.
Okay.
But I think on YouTube Shorts, it's more like, I think you see kind of reactionary content, right? And then, and then I also see like that.
And things.
Whereas on TikTok on TikTok especially, I'd see like sports edits, like really like well done sports edits. And then on Instagram, I don't see that much. But that also just could be my algorithm and,
Okay. So what's your thought on the general? So you touched on a point where in-app editing means suddenly it's globally available because most people, maybe more than 95% of people only have phone, right? In terms of having access to a good editing app and all.
Yeah, but again, here's the thing though. A lot of the high quality content which is being produced produced in mobile applications itself.
I see. Okay.
Right? Because you can do a lot with mobile applications now. Right? Like professional like color grading you can do to a certain extent with the mobile application. If you have a phone which can shoot 4K raw, then I can get the color grading presets and I can put it into an external application. I can take care of that. And then as far as captions and everything, there's an app for that. And then it's like, and CapCut and all of these things, there's other apps too, and it's people can do a lot with it, with these platforms, right?
That's true.
So because of that, it's really like it's even the playing field a lot when it comes to quality content creation. Quality content has become more accessible to produce than ever. And because of that, I think it's a really good thing because we're getting a lot more perspectives than we would not have gotten otherwise.
Totally, yeah. No, I love that aspect of it. So do you think the user base between these popular platforms, if you view it as a Venn diagram, do you think there's a lot of overlap or there's little overlap? TikTok versus Instagram versus YouTube Shorts, let's say, Instagram/Facebook Reels.
I'll tell you one thing that's a big thing for me, right? It's not that big of a thing for other people, right? But one of the main draws for me, like my Instagram Reels page, right? Good mix, right? But it's mostly Indian videos, and within that, mostly Malayalam videos, actually. Because I have a couple of friends who send me like a lot of reels, right? And it's not even just like funny stuff, a lot of it is like informational too, right? A lot of it is like I'm learning a lot from it, right? But I think that's one of the reasons I like reels a lot is because I get to see the paradigms of people in India, right? Which I don't get to see on TikTok. Because TikTok doesn't have an Indian user base.
Oh, completely zero user base.
Yeah, right. So I think
good point.
I think that's interesting. And also because here's the thing, right? I think as, Indian kids or Desi kids living here, we're not that understanding of the paradigm of like kids living in India, right? Or whatever country, India, Pakistan, whatever, right? We don't think that they have the same interests as us, right? But because of algorithms and because of these things, it's really been like a lot of them do, right? So then you'll see intersections between like something I'm interested in here that I would assume that only people here are interested in. I'm not saying I assume this, but a lot of people would, right? And then there's some kid in, Bihar who's doing this, and this is completely unexpected to me, right? Or some kid in Punjab who's doing this or whatever it may be, right? And because of that, you see an intersectionality between so many interests. And I think that cultural exchange aspect is really valuable.
Totally.
So I think that's something which definitely interests me a lot.